Hello, hi. I've got Atia with me from Karachi, Pakistan. She's a mother to a beautiful 10-year-old. His name is Sharyar. He's on the spectrum. And she goes by the Insta handle, A Little Piece of Me. So I'm going to put that link down for people to follow. She is an extremely hands-on mom. I love following her. I learned so much from her. And the reason why I love what she does is she doesn't have a formal background. And these are the moms that I follow. And these are the moms I want to bring out in front of everyone, that they didn't let a formal education or formal background in special needs stop them from doing whatever they needed to do for their child. So thank you so much, Atia, for your time.
Thank you very much, Farah, for having me over. And I'm feeling honored. Thank you very much.
And Athia, to start off with, I get a lot of moms, these are newbie moms specifically. They call in and the first thing they want to know is like, our child doesn't focus, our child doesn't sit straight. And how do we teach anything to our child, for a kid who's all over the place? So, but they straight away start talking about, we want to teach our children to read, to write. That's the first thing they want to address. How have you been able to, when you found out that Sharia was on the spectrum, and then you had, I'm sure, these similar questions in your mind that I have to teach him, how do I get him to sit still and learn? Like, what were your challenges when you started off on this?
Okay. So I'll just try to take you guys through, walk you through my journey a bit. I would like to give you a small intro about myself. Sharyar was diagnosed when we were in Dubai. We got his diagnosis when he was 2.8. When he was born, he was a very happy, go and responsive child. Till my sisters came and they were visiting me, and they highlighted some of the red flags, like, no eye contact, and there was like repetitive behavior, and there was like sensory sensitivities, and no name recognition. And the day my sister left my home, she sent me an article about autism. And before that, frankly, I didn't know, like all newbies, I didn't know what autism was.
Yeah.
That night, I read about it, and bingo, all the red flags highlighted, check, 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 check. I was like, okay, man, there's a new thing in my world. Before that, my life was entirely different. I was a designer. I used to make clothes. So, socializing and making clothes and exhibiting, that was all together another world. But but the same night when I read about it, and alhamdulillah, I got a hold on it, I obviously, like every other mother, I was shattered. But I never said, why me? From the very first day, I was like, okay, now this is a new journey, and I have to build up my support system. I have to look what I can do for my child. I absorb everything, absorb the energy. And the very next day, we contacted a biomed doctor. Maybe you know her. She's Dr. Zahra. She's at Al Zahra Hospital in Dubai. I contacted her. We put Sharyar into ABA therapy. He was going for OT. He was going for speech. He was at building blocks in Dubai. And initially, we got some of his complaints from his British teacher. She sent me a very polite note that I think something is wrong with your child. He's everywhere. So I was kind of defensive, like, okay, it's okay. He's a child. He's supposed to be everywhere. And then he joined another school by the name of James Metropolitan in Dubai, where he was quite settled down. His graph, if you see the trend, by getting all the therapists, his graph drastically improved, mashallah. Some of the behaviors, some of the sitting span thing, it really, really worked on him by ABA therapy. And then after maybe a year, we shifted to Jeddah. There was a time when I see Sharyar regressing. We couldn't get much support in Jeddah. Jeddah is not that advanced at that time. It was like nothing was there. We just, I posted his name for ABA assistance, but I couldn't get it. I used to take him for occupational therapy. And unfortunately, in Southeast Asia, occupational therapy is not yet been practiced as it is supposed to be. We just say it's like, wo paanch humne proprioceptive and vestibular and gross motor skills. No, it's vast. For me, occupational therapy is very important. But I couldn't get hang of the best of the therapists and things. that was a time, Farah, when I thought that I have to take things in my hand. I should be equipped in a way where I have to work with my child. I cannot rely on any of the therapists or the teachers or the school.
Yeah.
So that scenario or the circumstances, that put me in a place where I think this is the time, let's start working. So
But
I
that's
started taking some training.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry
yeah.
to cut you there, Atiya, but I love that thing, and I want you to, repeat that as much as possible, because that's what I constantly tell mothers, that, yes, when, that is dawned upon you that I have to do everything, because you can't rely. A good therapist will come and go. A good school, is only as good as its teachers, and all the teachers aren't good or don't work for your child. I'm not going to say not good. That wouldn't be the right word to use. May not work for your child. And so at the end of the day, you're the only consistent factor. So I love the fact that you took this on and you said that I'm going to make it work for my child. And I hope mothers hear this again and again and again. So I love that you said that. Thank you. Please go on.
Yeah, thank you, Farah. Thank you. But this was much needed. It was the requirement of the time, because first of all, even if you have the best of the best therapist, even I'm sure you're going to agree with me, and all the mothers will, because I do speak to newbies mother, I counsel them, I train them. You get best of the occupational therapists, you get best of the teachers. You should know how to deal with them also, because if they see, okay, this mom is blank, she doesn't know what to do with her child, she's not clear in her goals. No, God forbid, anybody can manipulate you. They say, okay, she's not participating. Anybody can manipulate you. You should be equipped enough in the, at least, you should be know what is happening with your child.
You should be able to carry it
It's
through
us.
whatever they're doing there in the section. You should be able to carry it through at home. Yeah.
Precisely. And frankly, if that support system which you maintain or which you build, if they see you that, we know whom we are talking to, then they also that, they know how to do their work then.
Yes, then they stay on top of things.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and then my husband got a job opportunity in Pakistan, and we thought that probably if we come back to Pakistan, we'll get proper social network for Shahryar. So that was the only reason we shifted back to Pakistan. And initially, things were not very favorable because, we were in the Middle East for the past 12 years. So although I'm a totally Karachiite, I have born, bred, I'm a totally Karachiite. But then you can totally relate, living in the Middle East, having that,
it's
ties and
I say it's a quicksand. Once you're in here, you don't want to get out.
Absolutely. And you call me, I'm ready to come back here again. Anyway, so when we come back that was a battle for me to readjust, because I have another child also. For us all together, a family to resettle, it was a huge dilemma. I visited different schools for Shahryar. I visited different therapy centers. Alhamdulillah, again, I had been fortunate that initially I got the best speech therapist for him. That was Asya Shaswani. She was the dean at Ziauddin. It's a famous hospital in Karachi. And since she knew it, that, she saw the enthusiasm in me and probably that eagerness and keenness to learn new things, she trained me. And I'm very grateful to her. I'm very fond of her. Because whenever there used to be so whenever there used to be a speech session, I used to sit along with her, sometimes maybe twice in a week, and then later I used to ask her again, just give me the points, what I'm supposed to do at home, what should I do. She used to tell me. So from there I developed love for reading and writing, and probably she was the one who poked me to learn strategies about building literacy skills from a child at home.
That is what my next question to you is. So it's very interesting you brought this on, that since she developed that love for reading in you, how would you suggest other mothers to do that for their children?
Okay, so first of all, Farah, for all the newbies, moms, be patient, be soft on yourself, be cool, because see, it's a long journey. It's not like 1 day or 2 days or a week or a month. No, it's part of our life now. So see what suits you. Just see what suits you, and then plan your life plan your goals accordingly. For me, building a strong support system for my child, patience, flexibility, and unconditional love was very important. Once I saw that, okay, I'm, my all check marks for these things, then before even introducing all those literacy skills, what we needed to work on was our child's challenges and needs. For example, there are, maybe 80 to 85% of the children with challenges, they are minimally verbal or non-verbal, right? So they have
Yeah.
difficulties with communication, right?
Mm.
So I would suggest all the moms to come up with ideas or to look for or research ideas where they can probably build a platform for their child and for themselves to, to make them understand the needs, how they has to be conveyed, right? For example, if I tell you, if I give you example of Sharia, initially we started making use of so many PECs and visuals. So visual support it played a vital role in our life. Whatever we looked around, Hum Sharia ko, we used to tell him, okay, this is it, this is how, his living room, everything was labeled in our house. Everything was labeled in the car. Everything was labeled in school. Everything was labeled at the speech therapy center. Like, for example, if you were stepping out of the house, I used to tell him, I used to model, comment, he used to imitate. I used to model and comment, and he used to imitate. I used to show him a picture of a speech therapy session, probably. Show you, see, now we're going to speech therapy session. And he used to repeat, like, babble, and however he was comfortable with. I never put any pressure on him. This is how it should be done, or this is how it should be done. I was comfortable in whatever. At least he was making an effort, and I always recognized and praised his effort. Like, even if it was a one word, or even if it was half a word, I used to praise him.
Approximation
so, if
also.
you see your child, absolutely, precisely. If you see your child is minimally verbal, you can look for the ways in order to make that communication work for both of you or for the family network. There are so many devices these days that could be, augmentative and alternative devices. There's a program called Proloquio to Go. And there are so many, like, technology has been advanced. There are so many apps.
Be creative, basically. Be creative with communication. The idea is that you want your child to express, to say something, right? So give them, there's so many means,
Absolutely, in whatever way they want to. For example, even if you want to use a visual that they need to go to toilet, if they tap on that card or that picture, that's good enough. They are communicating in their way, and you as a mom should be comfortable with it. You as a mom should be comfortable with it. So you should really need to focus on the communication difficulties, make that thing clear between you and your kid. I think then comes sensory sensitivities. Our children, they have either they are overstimulated or they are understimulated.
Under hypo.
So as a mom, I would really like all the moms to read about sensory regulation. I would recommend some of the books also. There's a very famous book, I'm sure you must have read about it, The Reason Why I Jump. And the other one is Out of Sync. That was an amazing book. I have
used that book
so
quite
much
extensively.
Through it. And then there are, like, Dr. Melilio's book. I'm forgetting the title, and I'm a huge fan of Dr. Melilio. So, Dr. Melilio, he works on brain reflexes, and that's, I think, your core area also. So what I'm trying to say here is there are opportunities, there are ways, and now, mashallah, we are blessed. Technology is very advanced. Try to make use of it. I know there are so many mothers who are not that tacky. There are so many mothers who are not that aware. Then build a support system around you. Go and talk to the mothers.
Update yourself.
I tell you, there are moms contacting me from Quetta and places like Gujranwala, I appreciate them. Then, though maybe they're not that educated, but that enthusiasm, that eagerness to learn. आप please हमें ये बता दें, आपके बच्चे ने ऐसे किया, and I love to give them time. I send us long audios to them. कि यार, somebody's interested. Why not to enrich them? Why not to enrich them? And then they follow, and then they send me video. See, these are the strategies that we follow. So you should be aware with your occupational therapist. Go and have a meeting with them, occupational therapist के साथ. ask them that what are the basic needs of my child? How can I make them sit? I can talk
How
about
can
it
I use my
for
home
hours and hours.
environment basically? Yeah, how can I use my home
Absolutely.
environment to address those sensory needs, make a sensory
Needs.
diet
Yeah.
for the child and address it at home.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, you
Yeah.
don't have to
Yeah.
make an OT room in your house, but you can do a lot of
Yeah.
things. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
From
that's,
whatever
I just,
resources you have.
exactly,
Yeah.
that's why I
For
just
example,
put up
if
a
I,
post. Sorry.
sorry, go.
The lag is, I feel that there's a pause, then that's why I start talking. But the like the post that I had put up about make your bed, I'm like, there are so many things, skills that you touch upon when you are just teaching your child to make your bed, sequencing tasks. And even if you just have visuals, teach your child to sequence those visuals, because our
Yeah.
children don't
Yeah.
understand
Hand-eye
fictional,
coordination.
hand-eye cord, so
Yeah.
many things. So when I know a
Yeah.
lot of
Instruction
moms
following.
Athiya, who've told me that we have a help at home and we'd rather our child does other more important things than do this. I cringe when I hear responses like that. And I was like, I wish
Yeah.
I
I
could tell you
know.
that
I
there
can
is
relate.
so much your child and you can learn if he masters this basic skill. So yeah,
Precisely. So you come over to my place, you will be amazed at how, mashallah, Shariar, how functional he is, mashallah. And of course, we have done that work with him. There was a time when there was a very limited attention span from him. You know
yeah,
how our kids are.
yes,
So we
yes,
work on his, jo aapka question bhi tha, we worked on his sitting span. There was a time when I used to take him for OT for 40 minutes, and in that 40 minutes, जो मुझे नहीं अच्छा लगता पाकिस्तान में ये बात कि although I used to write all the points and I used to watch videos, I asked the instructor that I want to be part of that OT session. So if one thing you're doing, other thing I'm supposed to do, make me learn it. Okay. Shariar used to wake up at 6 and 6:30 in the morning. He used to follow that regime. Again, this is highly recommended for all newbies, that please try to follow a structured routine for your child. They thrive. They actually thrive on a structured routine. You can use specs that, you can put different kind of pictures. And I would suggest you, what I have learned over time, instead of taking pictures from Pinterest or other resources online, try to take their own photos, your child's photos,
yes,
and put them
yes, exactly.
on
Customize it.
on a Velcro board. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, they can relate
Really?
with it. They can do
Just
it in a
take your
much
phone
better
and do
way.
it.
Yeah, like that's what we had been doing. Mere paas, whenever there was another interview that or maybe a podcast that we went through, so I show them, because they have seen Shariar growing, mashallah. They have seen Shariar when he was 4 and mashallah when he was 8. So I took out those photos and I show it to them. Kid, this is how we work for it. You can get so much phenomenal results through it. It's just आपने भी बताया about from bed making. They can learn so much through that one work, that they will be capable of doing it. Again, if they'll be able to follow pecs, या फिर वो अपने इसको करेंगे, there's so many other things that happening. Transition is one of the biggest struggles जो हमारे बच्चों में होता है. They automatically learn through it. For example, if they master all the routines in a day, if they master it, after a week or 2 weeks, you change the regime, you change it, and see how gradually they themselves adapt their transition. And this is how they're gonna adapt the transition in the world itself. So coming back to because I know we don't have we don't have much time. So that occupational therapy, I used to learn all the tips. I used to write it. And once we used to come back home, Shariar used to relax, and we used to repeat all the strategies with him at home with him. He used to wear that weighted blanket. He used to wear that weights on his leg and hands. Why I'm mentioning this is, again, how did we work on his attention span? Then we used to put a buzzer also.
Yes.
For example, if you're working with him, buzzer bacha, okay, Shariar, this is, you can sit for 5 minutes, you do this blah blah activity, and then once he's done, he was able to sit for like good 5 to 10 minutes. I used to praise him, I used to encourage him in the end, and I have to give him any reinforcer. For me, it was hardly any edible. I used to just pat him, and I used to hug him, and I used to just make him feel recognized that something you have done, goal is achieved. And this is how you have been awarded. So once you get a hold on occupational therapy and unki needs and challenges, start working on them from day one. Work on their limited attention span.
Yeah.
ताकि आपको जो
The
basic ground
interaction.
जो
Yeah.
चीजें वो हैं आपको वो fulfill करनी है. Try to know about their individual learning needs, because see,
Yeah.
every child is unique on the
It's
spectrum.
very,
For
even
example,
if
if
they're on the
my
spectrum.
child,
Yeah.
yeah, precisely, if my child can he has strength, or if he's good in letter recognition, or I'll just inshallah I hope I get this chance to tell you guys about how we introduce sight words with him. If, for example, my child can do sight words in a day or two or maybe month, maybe Suleiman cannot do it in that
Hmm.
time period.
Yeah.
Suleiman's strengths are different. And for example, if Suleiman is doing numbers in a day or two or week, maybe Shariar cannot do it, but it's okay. Be
Yeah.
patient, be
Yeah.
flexible, and when you set your goals and you see that your child is, our child's progress is non-linear and it's slow, right? If you see they're unable to cope up with time, they're unable to cope up with the goals that you have set for them, it's okay. Reset yourself. Reset. हम reboot करते हैं. Just reset the whole thing.
Yeah.
Goals को change करें. उसको modify
That
करें
was,
according to your, yeah. Sorry.
yeah, you're right. Because
Yeah.
just yesterday I was with another kid, a kid's not another kid, another one of my kids' teacher, and I was telling her
Yeah.
the same thing. She's like, the goal is for your child to be able to do this. I'm like, I'm his parent, and I'm telling you that I don't agree with this. I don't want this to be his goal.
Yeah.
And she was like looking at my face, and she's like, all parents want that their children have to finish this book. I'm like, no, that is not my goal. And she
No.
told me that I'm like, okay, what does he do in class? What sort of behavior does he exhibit in class? And she's like, oh, he's very vocal, he participates, he talks. I'm like, that's great, because a year ago this child was not doing that. He was not participating in class. He
Yeah.
wouldn't talk in class. You have done great by bringing him to a level where you're telling me he participates too much in class. I'm like, that's great for a goal. And I'm like, right now, go
There
slow
you
on
go.
yeah, I like readjust. I'm like, I'm not interested that he finishes this textbook this year. He finishes half of this textbook. I'm fine with
Yeah.
that for now. So it's not just, I mean, special needs, per se, like my child, one of my kids has autism, so we're only going to talk about him. But even our other kids, their siblings also have some sort of, usually, some developmental issues there with the younger ones if they come after the child on the spectrum. I'm like, you should be able to readjust goals for all of them, not just go easy on that one child and then all the other kids know you have to achieve these goals. So yeah. And
Absolutely. For this,
sorry, go on.
Thank you for putting up such a beautiful example. This was so much required, because you see, we are so much focused in our day-to-day thing, and in that probably raise, oh, we have to do this, we have to do, and I was among that mother too. When I was a newbie, I was among that mother too, because by nature I am a very compassionate, very passionate, very dedicated person, very organized and disciplined person. For me, okay, this is it, I have to do it, blah blah blah, and if things don't get according to my way, I get upset. But I change myself for my child. So why not to celebrate, man? If Abhi, whenever I get a chance to go through Sharia's older years, there's a drastic change for her. Why shouldn't I be thankful to Allah? Why
And
should I be
acknowledge
grateful
that.
to Allah? Yeah. I frankly I celebrated. There was a time when he didn't know how to hold a pencil.
Yeah.
And now you have seen how he writes. He writes like 2 to 3 pages. Not his speed is more than me. His typing speed is more than me. His writing skill is more than me. The speed. So why I'm grateful. Yes, I accept that. I think it's in the Middle East as well, but too much in Asia, that we have too much peer pressure and then academics. Once you enroll your child in school, oh my God, that's a nightmare. That's a nightmare. We'll come on that thing also. So we're working on their sensory sensitivities. We're working on their communication difficulties. We're working on their emotional regulation is very important, because you see, you can get an
That's an
outburst and
ongoing
meltdown
process.
anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is. So the place where which you select for your child to do your chores and you do your activities, make sure it's it's sound free. It's like, you know, you have
Yeah.
cozy lighting, whatever lights he like for example, I'm going to give Shariar example again and again. Shariar is not too fond of white lights, right?
Yeah.
So we keep dim lights, or we keep daylight where he was supposed to sit. We
Mm.
established a reading corner for him at home, where we put age appropriate books for him, and we try to make sure that there are not too much things which could trigger his sensitivities. Yeah. तो वो बहुत important होता है. आप जो भी there are newbies moms who are watching it, please try to, in like whatever place you have at home, please focus on this, work on this, try
Make
to
a
learn
cozy
about
corner.
emotional regulation, their sitting span, and their because see these kids, they are resistant to change. So once you bring them into that normal regime and structure, that would be easier for you and for him to get, you know, into different transition and apne koi bhi cheez, because your goals are not going to be same. They're going to
Yeah.
change over time. So they should be able to adapt a change. And I tell you,
Yeah.
that's a very
That's
difficult
not
process.
easy.
That's a
That's
very
not easy.
difficult process. Then
Yeah.
what you can do, our kids usually, you know, they lack organizational and planning skills, executive
Yeah.
functioning process.
Yeah.
That's too weak in our kids. So we need to work on that. We can probably divide bigger tasks into smaller and more profound components, which would make things easier for us
Yeah.
to work with them. You know, this is,
Yeah.
ये सब मैं आपको building blocks बता रही हूँ. This is
Yeah.
how we can, next step हमारा होगा कि how we can build literacy skills in them. But these things has to be addressed. Once
Before you
your
get to that.
emotions are not regulated,
Yeah.
once you are not regulated, once I'm not regulated, once my child is not able to sit and hear and listen to me, we cannot work with them. ठीक है? So
True.
ये आपके points, आपको इन सब चीजों पे काम करना है. And other battle which challenge that I and all the mothers, especially in Pakistan, face is that inclusion and acceptance. Yes, things are progressing, things are changing. I myself am part of a mother social group where we go and we you know, we do workshop and
Support
we
each other.
go to spread awareness. Unfortunately, school, they just welcome, they just say that the system is inclusive, but unfortunately there's not much work been done in school. So we have to go and, you know, tell teachers how to work with even the basics.
Yeah.
Again, if I
It's
give you
quite
Shariar's
confusing,
example.
actually. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't
Yes,
understand
because they
what
don't know
inclusion
what
means.
inclusion means. Absolutely. Inclusion, you don't have to resource teacher for an inclusion system. You should be trained enough.
Inclusion basically, and because this is the understanding I get from when I speak to people, inclusion over here and in most places, like your child is physically sitting in the classroom, that's inclusion. What is my child achieving by sitting in that classroom? And that has been a problem for so many parents. They're like, I'm paying for my child to just physically be present in a classroom. And that's not cheap, you know, for that seat. So you're like, I might as well, if it's not of any advantage to him, if he's not acquiring anything, then what's the point? If anything at all, he's being bombarded sensory wise with everything that's going on.
Oh my
because
God,
you control what's happening in a classroom.
Yes.
It's not a clinical setting where
Yeah.
you manage and control all these things. So yeah, I can understand that battle is on everywhere.
Yeah. So, you know, you again, if you are aware enough, only then you'd be able to make that room for your child in that school. You should be, again, very much in touch with your teachers, with the principal. Go and tell them about your child's challenges and what is the plan. What are you going to do with him? For example, now Shariar has come. Shariar is in grade 5. Now, when he started this year, I attended the school with him for 3 days. And whatever you have mentioned, I faced this. I was sitting with him in a class where there was a setting of 30 kids, all right? And the teacher came, she started, it was a literature class. Hello, I don't want my child to know literature. It's okay, you know? He was just sitting in a class on a chair, and am I paying for that place only? And, you know, the rates are skyrocketing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I have to pay for that chair, and then I have to pay for the SEN department also, where teachers are not yet much trained. Where actually I have to tell them, okay, this is how we'll start with phonics, or this is how we'll start with letter recognition, or this is how we'll build up that, this is how we have to work on the building blocks. This is not fair on us, and especially for the parents and masses, for the masses here, जो हमारी population masses है, वो, because parents themselves are not yet aware. So आपको अपने आपको
Yeah. I also feel it's not fair, and we usually leave out the teachers in this equation, that, the teachers aren't trained, and then children like that are put into their classrooms. What is the teacher exactly supposed to do? She should be trained also, because at the end of the day, she's the one facing the parents. The questions
it's
are...
that they say this is resource teachers' work. That's how it goes. They say they just pull
Not
up
our work.
themselves. They push themselves back. Yeah, they say, oh, we have so many other kids who attend in the class, and then this is resource teachers' work, and then resource teacher, don't even let me start on it. Resource teachers are, and I'm telling you about the ones who are masters in special ed, okay?
Yeah,
they don't know how to regulate such children. And other things, मैं चाहती हूँ आपकी inclusion acceptance हो जाए, and then you have to navigate a proper support system. Once you get a hold on all these things, and you think your child is able enough to sit for even 5 to 10 minutes, that is the time when you can start working on your literacy skills. ठीक है? अच्छा, मैं आपको जो points बताऊं, सबसे पहले है कि we should follow their interest, your child's interest, whatever it is. For example, Shreya was obsessed with color pencils, all right, and वो जो character था, the train one,
Thomas
Percy Thomas, he was obsessed with that. So I went to my local bookstore, nearby bookstore. I got him books जो उसकी ट्रेन रिलेटेड बुक्स थी, और कलरिंग के बारे में थी, उसकी एज अप्रोप्रिएट बुक्स थी. I got him those books, and I used to read aloud with him at home. So I wanted to create a culture, and I wanted to create an atmosphere at home where he sees us reading, he sees me reading, he sees his elder brother reading, or we as a family, making notes and making journals and reading. So he sees that this culture is at home, and okay, I have, because see, they are inspired by us, so
they have to see you do it.
Yeah, precisely. So follow their interest, whatever their interest is, incorporate that interest in your child's literacy, early literacy skills. मैं आपको थोड़ा सा पहले बताऊं कि how did we start on alphabets and on phonics. शुरू में we used to, he had always a very limited screen time. So whenever it was a screen time, it used to be either super simple songs, या फिर PBS Kids हो जाता था, या फिर endless reader होता है. Then there's like reading recovery, which is mainly which target early struggler readers जो होते हैं. Endless reader, so there's an app, आप उसको देखें. Then I would like to, this is a great book. If any one of you can get hold of this book, I got it through Amazon.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna get
maybe you can take a screenshot. This is an amazing book, Farah. This was a book through which Shreya is where he is. So what they have done in this book, इन्होंने एक letter का phonics, sound, and then the relationship between letter and sounds, उसको define किया, how to build a word, like 2 words. For example, we started Shreya with small case letters, and then we migrated on capital letters, and then of course we started doing two letter